Hello, everybody. Oh, sorry. I had an error message come up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Disrupt Your Now for 2022. I can't even talk anymore, y'all. I want to welcome y'all back. I hope you're planning to have a great year. Tonight, my guest is Lisa Monette, and Lisa is the master of live video. She is all about helping you get unstuck and helping your video be amazing so that you can turn your business into anything you want it to be. So, Lisa, first, welcome to the show. And I want you to introduce yourself, tell us a bit about you, and then we'll get into it.
Absolutely. Look I'm so excited. Here we are. This video is live now. You know how you're sharing all over the place. I'm sharing in 5 different locations today. So thank you for inviting me.
Good.
What's the question? Introduce myself? Like who
Yeah,
am
yeah. I
I?
want you to tell us about your background. You know, the Tony Robbins, how you did that, how you did the firewalking, how you got to where you are today. And then
That's
we'll go
cool.
from
I
there.
love that. It's the Lisa show. It's so funny. One part of my background is I was really big in Mary Kay Cosmetics. I was a
Uh-huh.
Cadillac winner and I did all these things, but I had these, then I left Mary Kay and I was an executive with Chanel and a company from Paris called Makeup Forever. But we had this counter down in Orange County that they were trying to build and it was sucking. So they hired me to come in. So I bring in this wonderful badass from Chicago. Guess what her name is? Lisa.
Oh
So
my
it's the,
gosh, that's
it's the
funny.
Lisa show. Yeah. So you know what? I have to say and thank you for that question. It's like when you're older, like I am, those of us that have been around and done a lot of things, it's a big question. And I think if I go back to being born in Hollywood and Los Angeles and being raised with theater and dance and creativity. I just have always been about who is out there doing more for transformation and how can I be more creative? I wanted, Lisa, I wanted to be a dancer, but there was no dancing in those days. It was Broadway or Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was too short to do Broadway.
But didn't you end
So
up?
I was a hairdresser in Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
the you were lagging a bit, and so I lost you for a second. Didn't you dance for a Tony Robbins thing?
I did. And so what happened is when when I left Mary Kay and I left the airlines, I just started to like start my own cosmetic business. And then I got involved with Tony Robbins. So, and I think it was around the time around all this transformation was going on. Tony Robbins was pretty, he was just growing his business, but he was already huge.
Mhm.
And I did his training and they came after me and they said, we want you on the staff. We want you to help, be part of this thing. And so, yes, I got to dance in front of thousands of people on a stage. I got to do the fire walk. Now, I didn't want to I didn't know that I was going to do the fire walk. I was a staff person. So somebody said, you haven't done this yet? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I went in the audience, you guys, and have you done the fire walk, Lisa? You done that
No,
before?
I haven't. So you just like right then and there did it? There was no like build up and
Well, here's what Tony does. Tony Robbins is very, very good at brainwashing. Very
uh-huh.
good. It's called brainwashing. People call it training and NLP. Well, all those little things where you get your brain. He took 2,000, it was only 2,000 of us on that thing,
Mhm.
outside to this huge bonfire in San
Oh,
Francisco, right? With fire trucks, but 2,000 people. And this was the beginning of it. Like, I don't know, earlier in the day. And he said, how many of you believe you can walk on this fire in the next 6 hours? It will, the 5,000 degrees and this, that. And no one raised their hand. We went back in the building and for 6 hours, Tony did amazing magic of belief system. It's all about breaking through. What's on the other side?
mhm.
That, and I think that is what's been a driving force for me is to see what is on the other side and how can we be creative about it. And I'll tell you that fire walk, some of the exercises in it I've shared with other people that were going through stresses in their life, like breathing. And, he does this cool moss while you're walking on 12 feet of
Ugh,
cold, right?
oh my gosh, I can't
But
imagine.
it worked. It was great. So that was one
That's
part of my
wild.
past.
Now I've eaten fire, but I was only 17 and I was at a New Year's Eve party, so I was stupid. So
how do
that
you
doesn't
how do you
count.
how do you eat fire?
It's like they took newspaper and rolled it up and light the end and then stick it in your mouth and stupid as hell. I can't believe I did it, but I did it multiple times. And I moved away for years and years. And when we moved back to my hometown, I ran into the guy that taught us how to do it. Now, he was in college. We were still in high school. I was dying laughing. I'm like, I cannot believe that you had me eating fire.
See,
and it just so ridiculous that we did.
But isn't it about breakthroughs and belief systems? I love studying entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. Like I said, when I left the Mary Kay Cosmetics, back in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, it was the start of this direct sale, owning your own thing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I've had a whole journey. And actually, can I share just a little bit how I got into the online space even more? I used to take hip hop. I'm a big hip hop dancer. So I used to do hip hop with Shalene Johnson. She's a big influencer now, but she was in Orange County. She was a body trainer and worked at 24 Hour Fitness and taught hip hop. And her friend Monica, and I was a major dancer. And anyway, I came back into town and she said, you have to see this man, Brendan Bouchard. And so that was, I don't know, how many years ago, 8, 9 years ago. And then that was the start. I went to this live thing. That's where I met Jeff Moore.
Okay, yeah. Right? Thursday Night Boardroom. I love
Thursday Night Boardroom. If you guys don't know Jeff Moore, that's how me and Lisa met, because we were in this Thursday Night Boardroom. That's a powerful group. Jeff knows everything and he knows everyone. So.
Yeah, and he's going to be on the show in a few weeks.
I love it. So that Brendan Bouchard event led me to really start to look at, we can be an expert online. We can do, and so I kind of brought my makeup business into it. And then I met Brendan's film guy, and then I met his voice guy. And that's what led me to where I'm at right now. I started working with Roger Love, who's a celebrity voice coach. And he's actually was Tony Robbins' voice coach, and Joaquin Phoenix, all these people. So again, here it goes. They asked me to get on their team. See a pattern here? I'm always getting asked to be on people's teams.
Yeah.
Because of bringing out this passion in other people. Like, let's dance, people. Let's make some money. Let's get out of the box thinking. But you need support. You need to have firewalk strategies, baby.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. And your story shows that how important it is to meet people, because one connection leads to another connection, leads to another. And I have been in the online space since 1995. I started my business in 96, web and marketing strategy.
Wow.
And my audience knows this, so I'll keep it short, but you probably don't know it. I used to be an accountant and I hated it. I was really good at it, but I hated it. And I was the controller for an international software company. And when I discovered web design, I ditched my CPA license. I ditched everything and just started doing web design and marketing strategy. And of course, back then you had to create everything. I had to code a shopping cart by hand. And so mostly I did just online stuff. I was sick of the, straight up business stuff. But now I've evolved. I've come back around. People don't need the design part as much. They need the strategy. So I'm back around to basically helping people take everything and pull it all together cohesively. Make
this is
not a separate space.
Can I ask you, Lisa? So this is great, because what you just said is it's so great, because this is where a lot of people are at right now. They want to pull everything together.
Yeah.
And how do we pull it together so that they get their message, what they're selling? I digging deeper on that. What does that even look like? What would that look like?
Well, part of it is, and then we got to talk about you.
I will. Because I think this is important what you're doing, because at least what I'm doing.
But part of it is people look at the web as this thing out here hanging out. We don't look at our telephone like that, our electricity or anything. We don't even think about it. We just use it however we need it. But people think about the web as it's this thing over here. I have my website over here, or I have Facebook over here. And really, you need to be able to figure out how you can use it almost seamlessly, so that it's just so much a part of your life that you don't really even think about it. So for a really simple example that people would be used to, somebody scans a QR code that takes them to a web page that lets them view a menu for a restaurant, that then lets them order, and then it's delivered by a person to their door. So that is multiple levels of technology and old-fashioned people talking and handing each other things. but it all works together. And so that's what I like to do, is help people figure out how they can use the web strategically. And I also do it in a way like, not to get off topic from your thing, but like during the CARES Act, back in 2020. So I helped a rural community triple their $900,000 in CARES Act money, triple it to 2.7 million economic impact on their community by developing a matching gift card campaign online. So I'll tell you about it later, but so I like to figure out what is the problem, and then how can we use not just the web, but everything? How can we pull all of our resources together and solve the problem in a way that helps the business and helps the customers?
I love it. See, and this is so great, because the space I've been in, especially in the last couple of years since COVID started, I really got into doing challenges. I didn't want to have a Facebook group. I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. There's this and that. I had all these reasons and excuses, but because I was working, my main thing was coaching personally on Zoom. I didn't need, anything else. And then I had this huge makeup consulting business, and I sold products. But with COVID and all that happened, and I started following some mentors that were doing challenges, I said, you know what, and this can go for any business. And this is what's so cool. I mean, look at tonight, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on this. Find whatever works for you. And sometimes you don't need to find all of them. It can actually get you a little crazy. Like tonight, you're like, we've got links on left and right, but find what works for you without stress. And you can really get into that. And so this group thing started working for me. I thought, here's a place like me and you right now. We're on a podcast and we're also on a video cast, right?
Yeah.
So there's a like and trust thing that can happen fast. And, as you well know, the website is needed for what it's needed for, but it's changing now. People aren't just going to website to find out if they like and trust you. They might want to see if you have a cool graphic artist, but what if you don't? So it's like and you can have this expensive website. You suck on video.
Exactly.
Video stuff. They're dated. You're stiff. You're scripty. No one's watching. Here's, some of the things I coach in my group. I have a group called Come Alive on Camera, which you're all welcome to come to on Facebook. But one of the challenges I see, they are kind of caught up on let me get all this web and everything's so perfect. And I'm like, listen, can you talk? What are you doing? Let's keep it simple. I don't care if you're whatever your business is. That's what I specialize in. What's the character of you? Who are you, right? Who are you, Lisa?
Because the thing is, by the time you get it perfect, okay, let's face it, it's never going to be perfect. That's basically a way for people to procrastinate. And I'll give you an example for me. I wanted to do a podcast for 3 years. And I kept, I don't know what I want to talk about. And I kept changing ideas. And then I got obsessed in the details of the editing and the producing, because I can be just really OCD about stuff like that and a perfectionist. And then during COVID, Steve Sims was fussing with me. He's like, you got to do video. And I'm like, I don't like it, because I don't like just doing live video where I'm just talking straight into the phone. And I was like, but I have been wanting to do a podcast. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a live show, because then that can be my podcast, and it's out in the wild immediately, though. So I can't worry about it. Whatever happens, happens.
You don't have a personality, Lisa. There's really no personality. You're kind of a shy person that's really quiet. Yeah.
Well, actually, I am an extroverted introvert, and I love talking like this. I love talking like this, but I really hate to hold the phone up and just have something I've got to say.
Well, you got to come to my training. Lisa, you got to come to my training.
I know, I need to.
I show you how to do it. It's funny, because I have a colleague friend of mine. She's all into marketing. She works for attorneys. She, does all this data stuff, but then she's also loves, ideas and marketing, but she hates being on camera, hates it. But she's so good at all kinds of stuff. When I interview her, or we interview, she's great. But she just said, even yesterday, she goes, I just hate going on this. I said, well, don't go alone. Once you've got people with you,
that's
interview them or get interviewed, but get on the camera,
Right. And do whatever works for you. So that's the thing. People look at everybody else and they think, oh, I have to do it this way. No, figure out what works for you, and then just do it. And don't try to make it perfect. And you know yourself, Lisa, that when it is perfect, people don't believe it, because then it comes across as the marketing department.
Absolutely. Like I've been with some of the best film people in my life. I've gone to the Academy Awards 5 times. I had celebrity clients that are executives, and I know all kinds of amazing film people that are great. I mean, I work with Tony Robbins film person and Brendan's film person, Travis Shields and Jay Menace, who does, Roger Love stuff. And these guys, they're adorable, and they have like mega expensive equipment. Look at the other guy, Jeremy Finley. He's doing these huge marketing for Garrett White. They're awesome. It's 150,000. Great. That's one type of video.
Yeah.
I'm saying you can have any kind of business. You don't have to be dropping all that because you're wasting. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like that, but I think for the purpose of this podcast, I'm talking to business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, course creators,
Right.
people that really want to. They're not interested in this huge production, but they also don't want to be sitting in the corner, not being on a camera, but they still get confused. How do you do it? Well, you have to have support. You don't do it alone. I couldn't even get on the camera a few years ago, believe it or not, even though I was a big trainer and I was on these stages. The whole Facebook thing, I had to be pushed. Once I got out, I was fine. But I'm just saying, I had to have like a reason. You have to, and one of the things that I'm going to be coaching on this month is a new game, a game on how to play the game of the video. So
that sounds cool.
It's going to be fun.
So what do people need to do to find out about that? Come to your Facebook
Come
group?
to the challenge. Yeah, come to my Come Alive on Camera group. And even if you're watching this later, it's okay. It'll be there. But come to the Come Alive on Camera group, and we'll have a challenge. I'm going to do this challenge for 5 days, and I'm going to be talking about what is the tonality that you need. How are you pacing? Are you just this boring thing that talks the same, or you're really authentic? I'm real. I don't want to be fake. I just want to be real. Well, you're friggin' boring, okay? Your realness is boring. Boring, boring, boring. Okay.
Yeah.
You can be, and I know a lot of introverts that are so successful because they know that they have to get on the camera in a way, but they don't, they've been coached or they've been helped away. And so, once you do that, then I'm going to be announcing what this game is. And the game that I've produced is really about being on the playing field and not being in the stands. It's about getting points. Like you score, you're going to score. And it's a game. I like the game. And you can win or lose. You can do whatever you want. You can call it win or lose. I'm not calling it you're a loser, but you will win the game of holding back. And you'll learn
Lisa. No, I'm sorry. I love this. This is a great lesson for the audience, because I'm always telling people, figure out a way that you can gamify your marketing, because that gets people interested, and it makes it fun. I mean, you remember decades ago, they may still do it, but had McDonald's had the stupid little peel off things on the cups and the Monopoly thing, and you pull it off. People just love anything that's a contest or game. So that's what you're doing. You're gamifying it. But
Lisa, I live in Las Vegas. Do you know what people do all day long? They play games.
Yes.
For big money or little money, even little teeny slot machine. There is a stimulation behind the game. And so for me, I'm saying, let's make our businesses be more fun.
Yeah.
And fierce. And yes, we need experts like you to help people put their marketing and their stuff together because they're not being clear. And then they need pros like myself that can show them. It's not about, and for me, what turns me on is, that's why I didn't do well. I didn't really like these MLM companies where they had scripts and everybody's script and everybody's duplicatable. I don't want to be duplicatable. I want to be unique. And I also want to use things that do work, but people don't buy from the marketing and the stuff. They buy because they like you. I mean, they might like the marketing, but if you open your mouth and you suck, your $50,000 project goes down the tubes.
Right. And what you were talking about earlier about the big fancy projects and all the equipment and people not needing that.
Yeah.
They need to remember that most big companies now are paying mega bucks to pay professionals to make it look like it isn't a big production, to make it look like they're us, because they want to be able to connect.
You know what, Lisa, you're making me crack up. So check this out. Do you remember when the pandemic first started and all the television shows were shut down? So what did these guys do? Like Jimmy Kimmel Live and Dr. Phil. I remember the first one, Dr. Phil and his wife. Everything was shut down. So they had to take the cameras, they turned on Zoom and they had the show going. There was one tech guy doing something, keeping it on NBC. And I'm like, oh my God, this is
That's
terrible.
hilarious.
They were terrible. They had like bad lighting, their makeup looked bad. They didn't have a mic. And I go, see, I help people that don't have big sophisticated things like they do look amazing. I mean, look at my set here. It's just something simple. You know, I have a few lights and I show people how you could do this yourself and not look like Dr. Phil during the pandemic. Sorry, Dr. Phil, I'm just making funny. You know, Oprah was the same way. She had these television shows would bring on hoodlums and bizarre people they'd interview, but the stage was multi-million and they would look so pretty. And I'm like, the guy's like an ex-murderer, something, and he's on these shows with the lighting. So of course they look good on that lighting, but you can learn tricks that make you feel comfortable. Because, you know, most people, they don't like two things. They don't like how they sound. They don't like their voice. And people don't like how they look. That's why everyone almost on the planet, what do you do when somebody takes a selfie? What do they do? Let me see it. Don't post it. I need to see it. What is your problem? Because we can't be seen bad. Oh my God. And I do the same thing.
Oh, when Steve was bitching at me in 2020, you got to be live. And I'm like, I don't want to do live, or I don't want to do video because I'm like, I don't know what to say. And like I said, I don't like planned things. I like flying by the seat of my pants. So I'll have to show you. I have a screenshot of it. The very first video I did, I was like, fuck it. Pardon me, but fuck it. And I went outside and I was like showing the azaleas. You couldn't see me. I was showing the azaleas. It's such a pretty day. And then I turned around and I had a gift bag over my head. It was a Sylvester the cat gift bag. And I had squares cut up for my eyes and mouth. And I was like, I don't want to be doing this. But Steve is making me do it. People thought I had a filter on it. They were like,
they thought it was fake.
I'm like, that's all the freaking paper bag.
You know, and when you talk about filter, that's another thing, a tip that's really happening right now is engagement, people finding you. A lot of things have shifted, especially on Facebook. Like I'm not as savvy on LinkedIn like you are in that. I have like 1,000 followers on LinkedIn that I think I put together about 9 years ago. And I stopped and I went back and I went, ew, I have like but I'm not even in there. So I want to get better.
Yeah.
But the point is with the stories is another thing I want you to look at, because stories, you can take this footage like we're doing right now. You can take any kind of footage and you can just drop it into stories, but you can chop it. They let you chop it for 15 seconds. So you can have, like right now, we're talking for 20 minutes or whatever we're doing. If we go back, we can find sound bites that are one-liners that are a post, they're an idea, they're just great amount of, so having support on learning how to do more of those tricks, they help you get content. So you don't have to work so hard, because content is something that does stop people a lot. Or they have boring content. Their content's the same always. Like,
being able to reuse it. And I've got over 70 shows.
Wow.
Almost 80 shows now. And I also have interviews from the 50 entrepreneurs who are in my book on top of the shows. So I have those recorded.
See?
I have a ton of content, but like most people, I'm like, oh, one day I got to do this.
And you know what? And that's what, Lisa, I'm the same way too. Like I went back, I said, okay, I did like 6 challenges last year, and I have all this footage, but of course it's like in Facebook groups or it's over on Zoom and it's all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to go back and like dig up all that stuff. But once in a while, I do go back and I do a second. And another tip I do is I go back and I turn it on here and I just do a little cheapy secondary filming of it. You turn it on, you film it right here. You press film, right? You grab it. You just grab it, and you got a little piece. Just a little piece. You didn't have to do any big editing. You don't have to hire anybody.
That's a great idea. You're not opening it up in iMovie or something, and trimming it and all that crap.
I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut you up and I'm going to put you out there.
So I want you to tell people and this will take us off in a million directions, but what would you think? What are like the biggest couple of tips that you could give somebody who's trying to get unstuck, trying to get the nerve up to do video, especially live video?
That's such a good question. Yeah. People, I think that people that get stuck, or when I get stuck, whenever we get stuck, there's a few things going on. That's the problem. You've got the background noise of your life going on. So you've got stress. People have had illnesses, people have had, deaths, they've had teenagers, whatever they have going on. Not everybody has this beautiful, just perfect little life. Oh, it's so special. Everyone's got shit going on in their life or stuff happening. So to come to the camera, it's like, oh man, I can't do it because I have all this is in my way. So one tip is that let's try to clear a little space. It's almost sacred space when you're going to go on this camera. And the purpose of the camera is not for you. The purpose of the camera is for them. Okay? The purpose of the camera is for them. And the problem that everyone's getting stopped up on is like, everything we said was it's about me. Me. You just said,
what am I going to get out of it?
What am I going to get out? I'm not good enough. Now we do care, but we're like, yeah, but people are thinking too far ahead. Number one. So stop that. Number one. Number two is getting yourself grounded. There's many different ways to do that. One of the tips that I teach on is breathing. Like before you come right now, I had music on. You told me to have a drink. I'm just having a hard seltzer. Have a cocktail if you're scared to get on the camera. No, but what I'm saying is there's a process that you need to go through. And so that's what I coach on is there's different processes. But just to make it simple, what is something right now that you could share that could help someone in their life, their business, whatever it is the category that you're in? And I think what happens with a lot of people, they want to lead constantly with their product, especially like, I don't know, some people they keep leading with how much money they've had or what they made and all this stuff. No, who are you? Like, what's something more about you? You can go on the video for 3 minutes and share a delightful story and at the end of the story, the moral of the story is, I feel that we should be able to speak unapologetically, no matter where we're at. So it doesn't matter if it's the camera, whatever, especially with censorship that's gone on right now and all that kind of, stuff I don't want to get into. But the point is, I want people to have freedom. And it's not about it's not just the business. It's like, who are you? That's why people are obsessed with reality shows, right?
Yeah, and they have been forever,
Have you seen the documentary that that Bezos did with going in outer space, and he brought on William Shatner from Star Trek?
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
It's a great special. And Star Trek, he was an actor. He wasn't an astronaut. He was an actor. Okay, it was a fake set, right? Star Trek was not real. But he got, at 90 years old, he got to go up into outer space. And so the point is, the story was beautiful. But guess what Bezos is doing? He's getting on that vehicle for money to get in space. You pay to go in space. It's a ride, money, period. But the story is what makes it. Storytelling is what's beautiful. And I think a lot of people have stories to tell, even if they're not professional speakers. We're all speakers, all of us.
Yeah, we all have stories. And I think a lot of people, myself included, like I've been doing what I've been doing for so long, I take for granted like things that I look at as being really, really basic about the web and in the internet. It shocks me when even people in their 20s don't know it. I'm like, how could you not know that? And so I'm like, I have a really hard time thinking about things to talk about if I'm talking about what I do, but I wouldn't have a hard time thinking about topics for you because I don't know that much about what you do. And I think a lot of people
I see what you're saying. You're taking it for granted. You're thinking, why would anybody want to know more? Don't they know what I know? That's a trap that I got into too. I'll watch other people. There's not too many people doing what I do. Actually, I know that that's true because I always try to search who's a voice coach for Facebook Lives and also strategists, for energy and making money. There's not a lot of us doing that. But the point is, I'll find somebody out there that's got something and you'll go, oh, wow, that's intimidating. Why would they want to do my little thing? That's like so dumb. It's ridiculous. And especially the people in the audience that are over, let's say over 50, over 45, 50-ish, over 40 for sure, but definitely over 50 crowd. We have all got a background in a lot of things. When you ask me, tell me your story. I mean, my resume is like 9,000 pieces.
Yeah.
And I just picked 2, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I could talk forever. But the point is I'm seeing a lot of people coming. I have one of my clients, She's 72 years old. She was awful on camera when I met her. She was like, oh, dark, and she was always complaining. And she goes, well, I want to speak someday. Lived out, I don't know where, maybe out Virginia somewhere. I don't know, somewhere out in the country. And she's still kind of a little brat, but she did the training, did the coaching. And I told her, you look unhappy. You're not smiling. So there was a lot of stuff I worked with her, but she's written 3 books now. She's been interviewed on podcasts. She's trying to help older retired people. Your life's not over. You need to keep making, like you said, what's your book called? Interrupt the Now?
Disrupt Your Now.
She's saying, stopping the now, keep living life. So the point is it's never too late to tell your story and also have business around it.
Yeah, I'm 60. And so I really like working with people 40 and older because people start going, oh, I'm too old, especially now with COVID, if they get laid off or whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? You have decades of experience. So what if somebody can come in and use all the jargon and act like they know stuff? Just because they know how to use a tool doesn't mean that they know any foundational stuff behind it. And so those of us who are older bring so much experience to the table, but that's not to talk down younger people because we both need each other. I always tell people, stop hating on each other and figure out how you can help each other.
Absolutely. I mean, I talked to a good friend of mine today. He's 98, Millie Robinson, 98. She lives in Laguna Woods, and she's brilliant. I mean, she's a little frustrated now because they can't go out again and all the lockdown stuff. But this woman was originally from New York and lived in Boston. Her memory, her way of speaking is amazing. And one of the things she said she was a little sad of, though, she has seen some people that she's been around that just the younger kids, like one of her granddaughters babysitting these kids that are, I don't know, 8, 9, or 10. And she just said a lot of them just are losing the skill or haven't been taught the skill to communicate. Yes. They're on the cell phone so much, or they're they aren't communicating. She talked, but then they would not reciprocate. They didn't know how to communicate. Not that they were not trying to. And I'm not saying everyone is, but there's a lot of this where you're seeing people aren't, and a lot of ages where people
it's very common.
Ages. Yeah,
very common. I actually know people who train special forces in tactical mobility, and it's supposed to be tactical mobility training, but a lot of what they end up doing is teaching them soft skills, people skills, because they have none.
Really?
And 18, 19, 20, and they grew up with their head in the phone or whatever. And, and I'm a fine one to talk because my head's always in it. But, that stunned me. But it's so true. So, yeah, I'm sure with the ones that young, it's even worse.
Well, that's what's going to be interesting, as we move into the future and all the things that we're watching, because the younger children are going to grow up. Obviously, we all do. We all change. We all have different ways. I mean, we're all guilty of being in the modern world of 2022. But that's why I'm passionate about the video. Even if it is George Jetson in the future video, you always see him in the futuristic films. This footage of you communicating is precious. And if you're not on it, this is our new, also, what is it called? The albums we had growing up, photo albums. Well, now we have video albums. I know many people have passed away. Their Facebook site's still up. No one's taken it down. And it's sad. And it's also like, oh my God, that footage is on there. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm just trying to say your legacy and for what you're doing, be on camera.
And COVID was the great equalizer, because all of a sudden nobody knew what to do, because even if it didn't affect my day-to-day business that much, because I already worked with clients all over the country, and none of the people who work for me live here locally. I have an office, but I hardly ever go to it. And it's right next door to my house. I just go if I want to go. But it still affected me because of my clients, because all of a sudden they didn't have the money to do stuff, or I had to help them adapt their business. But because everybody was kind of knocked off their feet, it gives all of us, we're all learning together. And so it's a great time to be brave and try things that we wouldn't normally try.
No, and you're absolutely right. I mean, one of the things, like I said, I didn't really want to do a Facebook group, and it's just growing. I mean, I have like over about 500 or more people in it, but it's a really nice group. And there's the groups that have 30,000. There's groups that have 3,000. And it's funny. I swear this is so funny. I told my friends today too. I've been in some groups with 30,000 or 2,000. I was in a challenge the other day. They had like 300 or 400 people in it. It's still this little teeny percent would get on the camera.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
not, there's no competition. So if you are wanting to grow your business this year, get on the camera the right way and have a strategy, have a marketing for what are you doing? Not just to go to throw it out there and hope it sticks. You have to have an intention. But as you start to grow that intention, people are going to want to hang out with you. And if you don't do business with them, just like the old-fashioned networking, you know somebody that might want to do business with you. And you can't do that hiding behind a computer with nothing. It's boring. I mean, that's my philosophy.
True. It's so true, because when people can see you and hear you, they feel like they know you more. As a matter of fact, even Clubhouse, even though you can't see people on Clubhouse, I met some amazing people on there, became really good friends with people who ended up being in my book. And but the thing about hearing people's voices, you can at least get a bit more of an idea of whether they're sincere than if they're just typing. So we got to know each other in Clubhouse. Then we would Zoom and talk. And
see, that's great. But see, that's a perfect example of communication. You know, like they did that old-fashioned study they talked about, was it Stanford or whatever, that people don't words are 8% of communication skills. So typing and all that stuff is great, but it's only 8%. It's that physicality and the tonality that makes us engaged. So Clubhouse I was on that quite a bit, and then I stopped. There was just too many things going. Plus, I couldn't see the people.
Yeah, and
listen.
Well, I wanted to, one of the people that I met in there, Dr. Hobie Wedler, he was born blind and he has a PhD in chemistry.
Wow.
And my father was blind. So Hobie and I have gotten to be really, really good friends. You have got to meet him, because one of the things that he does is work with companies to help them develop their products for sensory experiences, because we do rely on our vision so much that we miss out on a lot of life. And so I bet you that there are things that he and you could do together. Really, at the very least, you would love each other, but they're probably really cool projects that you could do together.
I would totally love to do that. Another story is popping in my mind. Roger Love had shared this story about, remember Susie Orman? The financial person. So they hired Roger to come into the television channels, the radio channel, these years ago. I don't know how many years ago. So Susie Orman on the camera was great. There she is. She's on the stage. She owns it, right? When they put her on a podcast, she sucked. She was bad. Her tone was bad. She was bitchy. She couldn't interact. She didn't want to do it. She was bad on podcasts. So they had to bring in a pro coach from Hollywood to help her, because it was a radio show. You didn't see each other. You just heard it, right?
That's amazing.
Isn't that funny? So sometimes you can be really great on the camera, but then when you go to the podcast, or get to the camera, this is what I work a lot with, is we're all natural with this metal. This looking in, like, look, I'm looking in the lens right now. I'm not even looking at you. I'm looking at this little green light, which means I'm not looking at you, but I'm looking at you. So all this learning, this metal stuff, it throws people off. So they could be amazing, but it does take practice. It does, you don't get it in 1 second. But you got to do a lot of footage and keep doing it,
Well, I want you to tell people how they can join your the game that you're talking about. But I also want you to tell them like 1 or 2 things that they should do immediately to kind of dip their toe in. Like, what's something that you would say, no matter what, you have to do this week?
Well, one thing you could do right now, here's an assignment. You could do this week. I want you to go on your personal page, because that's usually where you have the most people that know you, right? Especially if you haven't done one in a while, or it's been a while. And I challenge you to go in your group, if you have a group, wherever you want to go. But I say go on your personal page and invite a few friends that love you. Say, look, I'm going live tomorrow at 2, just on my personal. It's not complicated. You just go over there and watch. Okay, reboot yourself, because if you're looking, you got to reboot yourself, and go on there and share something that is, you can share a tip with someone. Hey, I've been challenged by these 2 Lisa podcast chicks today, and I've been challenged to go and share something that's on your mind. It could be anything that could add value to someone. So something that's just easy. You could go review a movie. I do this in extra.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Go and review a movie. I saw West Side Story. When I grew up, I actually trained with 2 of the original dancers on the Sharks and the Jets. I was a little girl. And so when I saw the movie, I started crying, and I'm telling the whole story. So you have a grabber, like, what's the purpose of the video? I'm going to share about West Side Story. You tell them 3 things you loved about West Side Story. This is what I love. This is what I saw. The call to action is go see West Side Story and tell me what you think, because I think that scene was the best scene when Maria sang with Anita after everyone had been stabbed. So I mean, it doesn't have to be business. It doesn't have to be
That's such a great idea, Lisa, and especially stop trying to think about business stuff and go do it on your personal page, because then it makes people, we freeze up less, and we're like, oh, whatever, I can figure out something. I love that.
It's a great thing, because I always say, I train that we have a through line. If I was to ask you or your viewers, let me ask you, Lisa, like, what would you say, since you're a little kid growing up, there's something about you that you are. Who are you? There's some through line that you stand for. Something could be anything, Think about it. Like, what is the through line that you have? Mine always has been, I was dancing as a little kid. So the through line for me has always been creativity. How can I be creative? And I don't like bosses and that. I work for companies and things, but most of the time I'm my own thing. So this through line has got me to where I am today. So even if you have a new business that you might be struggling with, or you're growing it, or maybe you're doing, 20, 30,000 a month, but you want to crank it up. Let's get your videos stronger. It's who you are. You don't change just because you got a new job.
That's right.
And we don't know that nowadays when they add to it. I get kind of upset sometimes when people say, well, just go in the camera and be authentic. Well, authenticity, if you're having a bad day or a headache or you're pissed, I don't want to see your shit. I don't want to see your authenticity. I want to see something I want you to be real. I'm not saying don't be real. And you can clear it. You can go, I'm having a bad day, but don't stay there. Don't stay in the depression. Don't lead with the depression. It doesn't help unless you're doing a therapy session. That's another category. I'm not putting down people that are having challenges. I'm just saying, if you're going to go out there, and if you are, and you do have a challenge that says, I'm just scared to go online. I'm not doing it enough. I'm not doing these videos. Say, look I'm going to do 3 this week. One is my favorite movie. One is my aunt that, is a crack up or who bothers me, and somebody that I love. Do you know how many people I do reviews on what they do? Like when Steve Sims' book came out, how many, Bluefish?
4, it's almost 4 years ago.
4 years ago when his book, but he doesn't know me, but he does know me now. I'm one of his friends. I haven't talked to him, but I've met him through different people. But when I got that Bluefish book, I used to quote Steve Sims, and I'd say, oh, he has this, how he started as the bouncer and how he used the code. And he has all these things. And I go, oh, this is my guy. This is my kind of guy. So all you have to do is talk about other people's stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
And later you can say, well, I've got a business. I'm just saying there's so many ways. Is that what you mean? Like that kind of a tip?
Yes. And I love that, because anybody can do that. And I'm going to make myself do that.
You know what else helps? If you could get 2 girlfriends or friends or boyfriends or whatever you have, say, look, I haven't done this in a while. Now we're just talking to people that haven't done it in a while, but you can do that. I do it with my friends too. Sometimes I'll say, hey, I'm going today. I shared to 5 locations, 25,000 people. I don't know if they're going to watch, but I thought, what the heck? I want people to see. So I know when I go live, I see people talking to me. That makes you feel happier.
Well, and the other thing is, like with my show, I do it live, but most people don't watch it live because of the time of day I do it. But I don't really care, because like I said earlier, I just want it out in the wild so I can't overthink things, and it's done. And then I can go convert it into a traditional podcast and all that, but it's still there for them to see. But you and I got to sit down when it's convenient to us, and then they get to watch it when it's convenient to them. But I love your idea about the 3 things, because it's a way to take the pressure off. And I was going to say, like you said, invite several friends. What we should do is, like, somebody invite several friends and then get those several friends to do the same thing, help each other, and tag Lisa.
That's
Tag
what happens when you're
Lisa, so we can
because
watch.
well, that's what's happening. That's a couple of years back on Facebook, people were seeing each other's posts a lot. Now they've changed the algorithms and all that stuff. So you
Yeah.
got to be strategic. You have to have alliances. They're not. They might. I mean, if I had a friend today, she says, "Oh, I'm seeing your stuff all over the place." I'm like, "You are? It doesn't seem like that." She goes, "Well, I see it." And I'm going, "So you don't know who's seeing what?
That's
you don't
right.
know who's seeing what on the rerun. What am I saying? The replay. The television show." But that's some of the things I do in my coaching is I teach how to do table reads. When they do you watch Schitt's Creek? Did you ever watch the?
Yes,
show?
I love that.
I'm addicted to it. Oh my gosh. So here you are. You've got that documentary when they did the table read at the end. Well, the point of the table read, the point of collaborating, having somebody working with you also is we can start to see, okay, where's the talent here? What are we going to pull on this? So you do it alone in one way, but if you want to start, I need to make sure that I work with other people too, so that I stay creative.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't coach yourself in the Olympics. And that's why I'm obsessed with the NFL right now. I'm a Rams fan, and I'm a Raider fan, and now I'm, it's crazy. But I watch, here's these multi-million-dollar elite athletes playing on the field, still screwing up, still having mental problems. So studying what causes us to really be effective, you can't do it alone. I mean, you can, but you're not as good. I mean,
have you heard? You probably know him, Dr. Jeff Spencer. You probably know him through Jeff Moore.
Jeff Spencer, I remember him.
The Olympic.
Yes, he was on one of the board nights.
Tiger Woods coach and stuff. He's really amazing, and that's what he does is help people with mindset.
It's all mindset. My daughter grew up with Olympic ice skaters. I was around I did Sasha Cohen's makeup and Michelle Kwan and all these people in the days. But the point is, these little kids, we watch them and they would study and train for like 10 years, and their parents would put hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, and then they get out there on the ice, and then their nerves like blew it or something.
Yeah.
So all of us need to have brain things that cause brain things. I can't even think of the name of it. Brain things. I'm talking brain things. Have our brain be effective, because somebody else can also help you pull it out and push you more to make things happen more. And I'm not about stress, and I'm not like pushing. Like I've been around some people that are just so intense. At my stage in my life right now, I want all of us, especially this year, 2022, I want people to be fierce and fun and freed up, and have a lot of freedom around their making money or abundance, whatever it is they say they want.
And other people can see things more clearly than you. It's just like I can see things more clearly about you, and you can see them for our own stuff. We're like, oh my God, we just overthink it. But then to somebody else, it's like, oh, well, this thing is really obvious. Then I can help my clients so much more than I can help myself. I'm like, why do I suck? And Jeff Moore said that night that when I met you on Thursday night boardroom, I said, oh my God, I'm so good at helping other people, but I suck at helping myself. And he said, that's because all of us are coaches, and what we do is help other people, and we're so geared towards that. We don't know how to help ourselves.
No, it's true. It is so true. I mean, I used to look at Mr. Nix, he's an Olympic coach. He was a champion ice double skater, in England. But then he's like, I don't know now, he's like 80 something. But how can these coaches wearing tennis shoes on the ice? They're not skating. They're not skating, people. They're teaching people how to do triples and quadruples and stuff. Yes, of course, they have other coaches that put them on harnesses and things. But I'm saying that you as an expert can be an amazing coach, and yes, I'm not saying that, we can be amazing, but to coach ourselves on something where we know we want to get better at. Why do we all have a boardroom? Why are people doing think tanks? All the greatest people, everyone has I've done 4 masterminds before I was in Orange County, and it always got packed up. I wasn't even doing it for money. I did it for free because I wanted to be in a mastermind, and I always got people that come to my mastermind. Got a lot of energy. But the point is the brainstorming really helps. And you don't have to always do what someone says. Sometimes you just need to can I throw these ideas by you? And you say, well, I don't think this and that. You go, you know what? I don't even like what you said, but thanks for letting me say one more time. I'm still going to stick with my thing.
Right. It helps you look at it. 1 + 1 is always more than 2 when you're putting people's brains together.
Oh, it's so fun. If you come to my challenge, it's a lot of fun. I have the free challenge, but during the challenge, you can come in, you can come to the VIP. It's like a $97 VIP. It's 4 days, right?
Okay.
And it's a hot seat, and I work with you. I work with people. It's so funny. The first time I did it a couple years back, there was, I don't know, we had like about 10 people in there, and I started giving like voice lessons. Like you would talk, you say whatever you do, and I mimic you, or I give you ideas on how to speak. And people were like, no one's ever done that. So I literally would mimic your voice. And it was so powerful that they started telling other people, they go, you got to go into this VIP thing with Lisa. It's a crack up, because I had never had that happen. And when
Yeah.
I worked with my mentor in Hollywood, I went down there, this was years ago, and I'm already always been outgoing. And so I go into Roger's office in Hollywood. He goes, oh, yeah, tell me what you're up to. And so I'm talking, kind of like when someone says, tell you what you're up to, and it's a voice coach, you kind of get weird. But anyway, I started telling him things. And he goes, you sound depressed. I said, I'm not. I'm just thinking. I started laughing. And then he goes, well, tell me again. All right, tell me again. I said, what is it you do with the makeup, and how are you helping people? And I go, well, I'm really helping them. He goes, whoa, that's so sad. I go, I know it's not sad. I'm not sad. Because I was thinking. And then he said, I told him again, and he said, I have to tell you, he goes, you need more volume, Lisa. I said, volume? I'm loud. Since a kid, they're saying, shut up. He says, no, you're not using volume the right way. And so I learned a lot of techniques on, you might think that you're something, but you might need to be even more out there, or you need to be pulled back a little bit. So I think game. It's
So that's okay. Tell us what that is. That's the VIP what?
So it just you can do two things. You can go to comealiveoncamera.com.
Okay.
comealiveoncamera.com, and you can put your name and email in there, and it'll invite you to come into our group. Or you can
Is that the Facebook group I'm in?
Yeah, it's just go to Facebook, look me up, and just go straight to a group called Come Alive on Camera.
Okay.
It says equals successful.
So the $97 thing, they can sign up through that, or is that
I'm gonna do the challenge probably on in 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We're just fixing the date right now. So once the challenge starts,
that's the gamified thing.
No.
So this is two different things. Okay.
Yeah, the game is going to be something I'm going to share at that challenge.
Okay.
The game is like the 30-day, working with me for 30 days. Now, let me tell you, if any of that, you don't want to be in a group and you just want to work, I have private clients. I have an elite coaching business. I work with you for 8 weeks, personally, one-on-one, right on the camera, and I dig deep. I figure out where you're at. We come up, I give you content ideas, I give you feedback ideas, we strategize where you're going, we create the character of you. I work with voice and your makeup and set. So I do have an elite program on that, and you just need to DM me and I'll get on the phone with you and tell you all about that. So that's awesome. That's a simple thing. And I
love it. And the fact that you have the background in the makeup and the kind of theatrical stuff and everything, you have the whole package, girl.
Thank you. You're so sweet. I love it. It's just, what? It's funny. I was at a big event a couple years back, again, before COVID, and we were all networking. So this really cool Ukrainian woman, she goes, I really need you. My accent's a mess. And I love accents, by the way, too. So I coached her for a bit, and then she says, you got to help my husband. So he was Russian, and he was an IT guy, right? Really, and terrible accent. Been in the United States 18 years, they were funny as shit. They knew English, but the way he spoke was bad. She goes, you got to get my husband. So, sometimes you think you have to do all these things to kind of work with people. I get on the phone with him for 1 second. He talks, then I go, your voice sucks. It's awful. He goes, when can I start working with you? And I worked with him, for like 8 weeks and helped him. He was so helped up that he was fine. I go, nobody knows what you're saying. It's not working. And I had so much fun. It's not that I changed his accent or changed who you are, but having somebody give you some tips, did you ever do a sport? Were you into sports? Were you into drag racing or something? What's your sport thing you did?
Me?
Yeah, I thought you were involved
I work with a NASCAR driver. Yeah.
There we go, NASCAR.
Yeah, we are out to disrupt the business model of NASCAR. We're turning it into a B2B thing, not just logo going around the track advertising. We approach it more as B2B consultants. So
I have to talk to you more about that, because that in itself, look at these drivers, how have they improved in all these years? I've watched drag racing, and I've loved cars my whole life. I had an older brother that was into cars. But that's the whole thing. It's like sometimes people just, no matter what, they're still going to need coaching to
That's
get
right.
be the
Yeah.
best NASCAR. Just saying the word NASCAR sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, and we race to combat veteran suicide. We promote
So good.
all these causes pro bono that we give everything to them. And then for the nonprofits that we promote, and like we've had the whole car covered with their logo, not just like a tiny logo. And we crowdfunded for Daytona a couple of years ago and paid for stem cell treatments for veterans who
Aw,
have for multiple sclerosis.
good
So
for
we
you.
everything that we do is around that. It isn't about give us the money so we can put the logo on the car and go around the track. It's all
Yeah.
about cause marketing and combining that with how we can help
Wow.
solve problems for
I want to
people.
hear more later about your story of how you got involved with NASCAR. That's a story in
Okay,
itself,
yeah.
right? Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love all
yeah.
that. I have a trivia for you, as long as we're dropping names and
Okay.
that stuff. So I'm pretty, I'm older, but I
You're not as
actually,
old as me.
well, I'm not even talking about age here, but let me tell you, when I was a little kid, I went to the very first Super Bowl game in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, my
That's
dad was with the
awesome.
LAPD when I was growing up, and my mother owned beauty salons. So I was around
Aw.
beauty and I was around badass too. So I'm kind of a tough chick, but obviously
Yeah, you're
like
a
to have my
great
own business.
combination of that. That's awesome.
But
I
every
love
time they'll do something, I'll think, oh my God, I went to my mother, she dropped me off. They dropped me and my sister off at the Coliseum. No security, no nothing, no
So
lines.
the very first Super Bowl
Very
ever?
first Super. I sat on the
Wow.
50-yard line. It was 35,000 people at the Coliseum. I still remember the guy going up in the jet pack on his back. This was, what was that? 60s, 70s. I don't know, what year was it? And
I don't
straight
even
up,
know.
and I wasn't even that big into football, but then I became really big into
Yeah,
it
it's
because
just
we
cool.
got
Oh,
involved.
losing John Madden last week, that was
I
like losing
know.
a member of your family, right?
Well, especially because the Raiders now, of course, are here in Las Vegas. So
Yeah.
I love Las Vegas. Anytime something happens with something like that, they have the ability, because they have these marquees. They had
Yeah.
John Madden like everywhere, so they're very respectful here about sports
Aw.
legends or entertainment
Yeah.
legends and things. So you got
Do
to
you
come
know
visit me here.
Do you know Tim Larkin out in Vegas?
How do I know that name? I'm not
He's
sure.
he's a self-defense expert. But
No.
before I ever saw him, before I ever met him, I'd seen him on the news, so I recognized him. He was banned from the UK a few years ago because of a book he wrote, but it was about um, teaching people how to survive violence, like so that you won't need to be violent. Anyway,
Wow.
UK decided that but anyway, he lives in Vegas. I know some people out there like him that I need to connect you
You
with.
know who else lives in Vegas? It's so funny. He's single. I'm single too. So if you know any cool men,
Oh,
and
okay.
I
Well,
was
he's
married,
not single.
I know, but
His
I'm putting this out in the world. I never talk about my personal thing, too much. But I
uh-huh.
went through a divorce a couple of years back. But anyway, so I'm single now, and I'm going, I need to just say that more. You never know who's
Yeah.
watching. But I kept following. I heard him a lot on Clubhouse in the beginning. He's not on it too much. But do you know who the FBI negotiator is? Steve Voss, is it?
Oh, yeah. I don't
Chris
know
Voss.
him, but I know who you're
Chris Voss.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Chris Voss lives in Vegas, and I thought,
Yeah, I
oh,
don't think I've ever met him.
but his
And
philosophy, if you look at his training, he has a company, I think it's a Black Swan. So he was this negotiator for the FBI, top negotiator in the world for hostage situations, and
wow.
now he's a coach for business consulting.
Yes.
And the whole point is how we negotiate. And I love studying him because he's bringing it down. Or
Yeah.
how do you build trust? Because he said if you're a terrorist, he says it doesn't matter who they are. It's all the same philosophies on trust and making deals and things. He said unless they're completely psychotic or some kind of thing, everyone's brain is wired the same. Now, of course, if somebody's completely, terrorist, or whatever, it's still stemming back of what they love. What they love, what we love, what we want.
Yeah.
And we all have our own values around it. It's all messed up. But the way he talks about how he negotiates, I thought,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I know
I
who you're
that.
talking about now. Yeah, he's really amazing, and I remembered Tim's book. It's called "When Violence is the Only Answer." I think is the
Ooh.
name of it. So he doesn't want people to have to use violence, but like if you or I are walking down the street and we're going to be attacked, we need to know where are the places that we can grab. But you would love his wife. She's a captain, and I think it's a captain in the police force, and she used to be a
Oh,
dancer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's this tiny little thing, beautiful,
Oh,
but
that is
kick
so
ass.
that is so
So,
cool. Yeah, my dad, when he retired, my dad should have been a professional golfer. He was a scratch golfer, meaning
oh,
no handicap. That's how good
yeah.
he was. But he was scared to do that in those days. But anyway, him and his partner ended up creating the first celebrity golf tournament for the
Oh,
LAPD, and all that money went to the veterans or people that were hurt and their families and stuff. But when I was a little kid, again, I got to go on the golf course, and he had like Sammy Davis Jr. and he had Ed
oh,
McMahon and Johnny Carson. So all these celebrity guys, were there.
bigger than life people, especially
Yeah.
back
But
then.
I hated golf. It was for old people when I was growing
Yeah,
up, and then it became hip, right? And then
yeah,
a
that's
few years
right.
back, I ended up doing Tiger
Yeah.
Woods' coach's makeup for an NBC show, and my dad was still alive. And I go, "Who's Butch Harmon? And who's David Faraday?" And he goes, "Well, David Faraday's, was an Irish golfer that had 14 kids and had to quit, and Butch Harmon's kind of this badass tough dude that was Tiger's coach." So I here in Vegas, I got to do an NBC show, and I did all their makeup and grooming.
That's
My
awesome.
dad loved it though. I could care less. I didn't know anything about these guys. And even David Faraday, who's pretty famous, from winning golf. He's like, "You don't know who I am, do I?" Go, "No, but my dad thinks you're cool." And then it was fun. We just had a lot of fun.
That's funny.
I love
All
sports.
right, tell people one last time how they can catch up with
Come
you.
over to
And
Facebook and look up Lisa Monette. I am over here in Las Vegas, Monettee, and come to our group. Come alive on camera. Just come alive on camera group. Come in there, and I will say hi to you. I always talk to people on DMs and voice messages. I'll get to know where you're at. Where do you have a struggle? Also, if you just are having a struggle in general right now about getting on camera, or you're on camera and you want me to audit your video, DM me over on Facebook, and I will audit your video and give you some feedback. I'll just, give you an example what I would do if I were you, and then we'll take it from there. See if you like me. It's so much fun. I help people
yeah,
make a lot of money and get really good on stepping out and stepping up.
great. I love it. Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
me tonight. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for the challenge and to learn about your game.
I love it. And I didn't see you drinking, and you guys, I'm not a big, well, I
Yes.
could be big, but here's a toast to our little new,
Yes.
what is in there?
Cheers.
That's a beer? That's a beer?
Oh, yeah, it's Corona premiere. Yeah. Cheers.
Woo-hoo! Cheers, Lisa. Thank you
Yes.
so
And
much.
hmm.
Oh, your book.
And I'm working on the workbook for Disrupt Your Now. The workbook, it will be out. It's called Disrupt My Now.
I
And
want to
it's a
see
workbook
it.
that goes
Yes.
along with this book to help people, because my whole thing is about you own a business for to live the life you want, and then you end up being miserable.
Yes.
So figure out what you need to do so that you can be happy, live the life you want, make the money that you deserve to be making, as little or as much as you want. It's not all about money, but so anyway, so
No,
yeah,
it's
the
true,
workbook.
Lisa. It's so good because then there's also, like I said, I went through a pretty bad divorce. I was married first time 20 years. We're still friends, but I had a second marriage, and it was a betrayal, and it was just a backstab. And I thought that was it. And it was awful. So there's a lot of people that have had things happen in their life right now that they're not complete. They don't have tons of support, or they're
Right.
isolated. People are
Yeah,
still isolated. Now they've got people scared again. So this isolation is causing a lot of people to really get depressed, or they're
yeah,
pulled back, or they're not in, or they feel like they're not enough. So don't,
yeah.
be with people like us that are out here going, "Look, at you are amazing," and get that support that you need, because you can't do it alone. You just can't.
That's right. Reach out to both of us on
Yes.
Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever, and we'll be glad to connect with you. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate you spending the
Thank
time
you
with us.
so much. You're so cute. I
Bye.
love it.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you.